Welcome to Business Formula with Bizzo. That's me, the most perpetual business show in the world. Today, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Billson, the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman. Bruce, thank you very much for accepting my invitation to come and have a chat with me on Business Formula with Bizzo. That's me.
Biz, awesome to be with you, and thank you to the Business Formula audience for having me.
It is most assuredly our unadulterated pleasure. Now, I would like to start off, if you don't mind, by asking you to please explain the role of the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman's Office.
Bizzo, thank you for that. And it's an interesting question because when I was the Cabinet Minister for Small Business and wanted to put in place things that would have a durable benefit for small business, one of the things was the creation of this agency. I never imagined I'd end up being the Ombudsman, but what I saw as I was working at a cabinet level was the experiences and insights and needs of small business weren't always well understood by federal bureaucrats, government agencies and the like. I was really keen to make sure we did something about that and had a champion who could make the case for small and family businesses day in, day out, and help government agencies and portfolios understand and connect with the real life experience of small businesses. Also, I saw, Bizzo, a lot of disputes, commercial disputes, where it was like the smaller business was at risk of being pushed around by bigger businesses and not always given the opportunity to get a good outcome unless they were going to go to court, and that could take years and a lot of expense. And I didn't think that was a very good idea. And then finally, there's always a case for better ideas to make sure the wind is in the sails of small and family businesses, not in their face. What can we do to remove needless obstacles and impediments to entrepreneurial men and women and bizzos achieving, their enterprise ambitions? So that was all brought together in this role. So it's a champion of small business with some opportunities to make the case, elevate people's appreciation of how crucial the sector is to communities and the Australian economy. We have a dispute resolution process, Bizzo, where businesses can come to us and we help to put in place a mediation, a dispute resolution process. And some of that is with particular industry codes where we've got a specific role in franchising, in the food and grocery sector, in the oil industry, and in dairy, a couple of examples. And then we have a bit of a role in conducting our own research and bringing forward, hopefully, well-considered and well-informed policy solutions that government can pick up and hopefully implement to the small and family businesses.
Oh, well, that's a fantastic answer. You basically answered every other question I wanted to ask. But
we can wrap it up. We've saved so much time for everybody.
I want to spend more time with you. I want to spend more time with you, Bruce. I really do. But having said that you've covered all my questions, that's not actually the case. No, what I'd like to know is specifically what type of things would businesses need to contact the Ombudsman's office for?
Okay, good question, Bizzo. Look, it could be a couple of different things. It might be an idea, an aha, where a business owner or business leader has thought, hey, we could do things better if government policy looked like something else, or a program that they might have been interested in didn't quite work for them. We often get that really useful feedback, often from industry associations, advocates, and sometimes business owners and leaders themselves. So that's one reason to contact us. Secondly, we have a whole bunch of resources on our website which might be useful as you navigate challenging times. It might give you some advice about business planning, about how to deal with some of the impacts of COVID. And even, Bizzo, a really important part of it is how to look after yourself. I mean, you'd know as an entrepreneur, you've got to be at your A game to make sure you can give your best and lead your business as well as you can. And that's another part of it. The last part, though, is what we call our assistance function. We offer a call center where people might ring up with a grievance or a dispute with another business or a government department, not know how to resolve it, and then we'll work alongside that person to try and find a way of addressing that dispute. It might be a disagreement over payment times. It might be something to do with a franchising dispute. It might even be a service provider, like a digital service provider or a platform that has all of a sudden just turned off your account when that might be the key channel that you use to connect with customers. We'll get involved. We'll try and bring the parties together, get the conversation happening, preserve the relationship, Bizzo, because in business, you know, a lot of these disputes are with people you still need to do business with down the track. So we try and work out a way of getting a dignified and early resolution for a dispute so business can get back to business. So that's the sort of things that we get contacted about.
All right, well, say for instance, businesses don't necessarily know about the fact that there's an ombudsman that's on their side. How would people go about finding the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman?
Well, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, Bizzo? It's not the easiest title to get your furry mouth around, might I use that term, having a look at your very splendid appearance yourself, sir. So that's part of our job. It looked furry. It looked like it needed a little bit of zhuzhing around the edge. But yes, one of the things we try to do is raise studies to let people know we're available. We do our own communications through social media and the more mainstream media. And we also have quite an extensive network that we reach out to share, you know, policy ideas. We might be doing an inquiry on a particular topic and we want their input. Those are the sorts of ways that we can be involved. Most states have a small business commissioner as well, Bizzo, and we work as peers, as allies to those state small business commissioners. So often we might get a referral from another agency to us because we're well placed to deal with it. Or alternatively, we're like a good concierge at the hotel. We can't solve all of the problems, but when we can't, we'll go and find someone who's the right person for that small business or family enterprise owner and leader to get in touch with. So that's how we go about it. You can always jump on our website, which is asbfeo.gov.au, or even Google My Business Health into your search engine, and that'll get you through to us as well.
My Business Health.
Yep.
Excellent. Now, I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
ASBFEO. ASBFEO
Yep.
sounds like an excellent acronym.
Yeah, it usually gets ASBFEO. Normally we hit it with ASBFEO, but some people think that could be an Amazonian foot fungus. So we try not to have people think they've got a ghost of ASBFEO. So yeah, we use that working title, ASBFEO. I'm respectful that many of the Business Formula audience might not know who we are, so I didn't think we'd get too funky too soon, Bizzo. I know we get on well, but yeah, ASBFEO is usually the way we shorthand our description.
Here's me thinking I was being innovative. Huh.
No, great minds come together.
Yes, indeed, that is a fact. Now, I need to ask how the Ombudsman's office fits in with youth employment and getting young people skilled up for the jobs and employment and also business that they want to do.
Yeah, look, it's an important question, and what we'll tend to do is talk with government departments who have as their primary role that training and skill development piece to say, well, you know, I've met a lot of small business people who are young and want to be in charge of their own livelihoods. And they're thinking about business ideas that have both a profit motive, but also a real purpose, a real meaning to them, Bizzo. And this is why I think a lot of young people and entrepreneurship are actually quite a good natural fit. So what we try to do is we try to promote some case studies, show other young people what their peers have been doing, and hopefully ask the question, maybe this might be how you want to pursue your livelihood once you leave school. Secondly, we will work with, say, the training portfolios about the sorts of training and support that's available. A number of the universities were also part of that ecosystem where there may be placements and cadetships or even support programs that will see a student working alongside other business owners and maybe getting a taste for it. And it's a really important area because, you know, I was just checking before I came on, knowing you'd want some hard-hitting facts, Bizzo. For Gen Y, 42% sought out a new job in this calendar year. So there's a lot of young people thinking about other options for their livelihoods. It's also been a really interesting time during COVID, an enormous uplift in the number of small businesses that have started. So there's been almost a renaissance of entrepreneurship over the time as well. And then really a lot of people thinking about what they want to do with their lives because COVID's caused them to ask some big questions of themselves. And many are thinking self-employment, working for yourself, rather than the bizman might be a way of going for their careers. So that's part of what we're looking at. The other thing to remember is that whilst, small and family businesses are about a third of the economy in terms of GDP, they're about they host 44% of the private sector workforce, so a little under half. But when we look back at the GFC, Bizzo, you and I are just young enough to remember that, in the recovery after the GFC, a bit like we're imagining the recovery after COVID, small businesses generated 2 out of every 3 of the new jobs that came into the economy. So that's another reason why young people, highlighting entrepreneurship, getting training providers and education providers to understand self-employment has its own set of skill sets and disciplines, and also showcasing to young people, this might be a great way of bringing your gifts and your ambitions and your purpose to life through folding that in as your spark into a business that you might choose to start yourself. And then there's programs available like NICE, the New Enterprise Incentive Scheme, and there's other support programs available to help young people get into their own business and pursue an entrepreneurial career rather than one in employment.
That's a brilliant answer, and thank you so much for spending the time giving me that answer. Now, you mentioned, projects and things that you work on. What sort of projects does your office take on in order to, foster your presence in community?
No, good question, because a couple of things happen. One is that every quarter I appear before the Senate committee to talk about what's happening in the small and family enterprise community. Bit of a pulse check where lawmakers get to ask me a range of questions about what's going on. Sometimes that involves areas where there's some disputes going on, and senators are interested to know how those disputes are being resolved, whether they point to any area of the law that needs to be updated or refined or fine-tuned. But they also talk about some of the leading challenges, some of the things that are coming at us. Right now, we are knee-deep into an inquiry into what's called a discretionary mutual fund. We're looking at that as a solution to the businesses that operate in the amusement, in the leisure and active recreation area. Think of shows, theme parks, laser tag, go-karts, agricultural shows. There's about 300 of those. So they're finding it incredibly hard, if not impossible, to access insurance. And if they can't access the insurance that's needed for their own business to operate, or because laws say they need to have it, then those enterprising people and their assets are just left idle. So we're deep looking at whether a discretionary mutual fund, it's kind of insurance, but not quite, is a solution to deal with this hardening insurance market, where getting the kind of insurance you need to be able to open your door as a business for some in our small business community is really hard, if not impossible. So we're doing some work on that. We're busy doing some survey work around women-owned and women-led businesses. I mentioned earlier an enormous uplift in the number of businesses that have been created and formed during COVID, but interestingly, 2 out of 3 have been created by women. So there's something happening there too, and we're just checking out whether those government programs and policy settings, and actually asking women, what's your experience been? Are there areas where we can improve it? So that's underway. COVID's still got some challenges. Not everyone's recovering at equal speed. And in fact, some businesses, their whole market has changed. If you and I were running a cafe in a CBD of, Sydney or Melbourne, and a 40-tower story business centre, Bizzo, we might have 3,000 people ordinarily walk past our great, delicious offering. Now that might be 300 because there aren't the number of people. The foot traffic's just not there. That's a real challenge for businesses that we need to work through as they come out of COVID. Access to justice, I touched on that earlier. When a small business gets into a blue with a big business, often the extra power and resources of a big business gets amplified in the court system. You and I might front up against a big behemoth company. You and I have got, our local solicitor and maybe one QC representing us, and there's this whole footy team of people coming at us from the other side. And in federal court proceedings, if we lose, part of it can be we have to pay for the other side's defence, and that can blow us out of the water and intimidate us out of raising what might be a legitimate matter before the court. So they're just some of the things. Obviously, the whole digital transformation thing is big, but that hopefully gives you and the Business Formula audience a bit of a sense of where we're putting our energies right now.
It certainly does, and it makes it absolutely clear that you're there for others and not just for Bruce Billson, which is magnificent. Now, I'd like to ask
you... Yeah, no, we're a champion. Think of us as the best ally a small and family business can have.
That's what we need in small business, isn't it, Bruce?
It is, exactly, and that's what this role is about. And Bizzo, your work and my work will be done when Australia is the very best place to start, grow, transform a business. We're not quite there yet. There's a few other countries doing a bit better than us, but we're on that case every day, working as hard for the success of small and family business owners as they are, to try and get those settings right and give businesses the very best opportunity to succeed. We can't make them succeed, but we can get needless obstacles and headwinds out of the road.
Which again is brilliant. Now, on a lighter note, the Ashes are starting soon. Will you be paying attention to the cricket?
Yes, I will. I'll probably be doing the odd late leave myself, Bizzo, but no, I love a bit of sport. I don't look like an athlete, but beneath this COVID winter coat are the sinews of a former athlete. So, no, I love all sport. Tennis is probably my favourite, so I'll certainly be watching the summer of tennis. Dylan Alcott retired today. That was a big story, but no, really looking forward to the tennis. The cricket's on. In a former life, I used to captain the government's cricket team when we played the press gallery, and that was always a lot of fun. And frankly, you know, there's plenty of sport on. Love it. Just love it. So that's a big personal interest of mine.
Excellent. I love the cricket myself. I particularly like the fact that the captain of the Australian cricket team is a more important job than the Prime Minister.
Look, and it's a tough gig. You know, you saw all that from the World Cup where they left out Mr. Marsh in the game where we got walloped. He's back, and we've had a good run. So fingers crossed we get through the semi-finals and can get to the final of the T20 World Cup.
Indeed. Well, we had to beat the Windies a couple of days ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit older than you, Bizzo, but I remember the days when the Windies were unbeatable. Michael Holding, Joel Garner, Vivian Richards, you know, they were an extraordinary powerhouse. They were a great team then. Now they've got a team of great individuals. I don't think they've quite gelled together, but we'll see. Time will come back, and you know, our team have really got to perform because they slid down the international rankings, which is interesting because I think of the work I do trying to get the policy settings right for small business, a bit like those international rankings, that we've got to get our policy settings as supportive of small business as they can be and push us up those international rankings as a really attractive and supportive place to invest, to bring intellectual property for enterprising men and women to see a really bright future. And through their success, there's livelihoods for all Australians and a brighter future for our country and our economy. So that's a bit of the lens that I try and bring to my work, why we keep needing to beaver away to, you know, make some improvements.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, I am fortunate enough to be able to draw on memories of other people who have lived much, much longer than I. So I do remember Viv Richards and Clive Lloyd, the super cat, but it's not even my own real memories. I don't know how that works.
You would have heard about it from your parents.
Yes, let's say that then.
Well, and look, yeah. Just as a tip, I'm always here trying to help, Bizzo. When you lean forward, you did look a little bit like the day-night pink ball. So just be careful when you're out and about this summer where they've got that test in Adelaide and they use a pink ball. I reckon they should have got the copyright off you because they've copied your do.
Well, look, there was some secret under-the-table negotiations about that, but we've got it all sorted out now.
She's like, we don't want to hear anything about that. We all play straight bats here.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything like that, did I? No, I didn't say. Or did I say? Oops. No, Never mind. Now, I know you're short for time, Mr. Billson, Bruce. Now, so
And
what
I'm
I'd
short
like to
as
do is,
well. That's
not as short as me. Should see me when I got my
well, I
legs
don't know.
on.
Well, I often say a good short speech, and I go, that's the only one I can do. But I've got one for you. I'm so optimistic about small and family business. Even my blood group is positive.
Nice.
Dish.
Well,
You like that
here's
one?
one you can use. Oh, I like that a lot. Here's one you can use. Next time someone says, how you going, Bruce? You can say, any better, and I'd be twins.
Love it. I know why you're
And
hosting, Bizzo. I know why you're hosting.
Well, thanks for saying so. Now, when you answer with any better and I'd be twins, you need to put a caveat on that, which is not that we want that. One of me's enough.
Oh, like it.
Now, I've got one last section. It's a light-hearted section. It's called Guess What with Bizzo. Bizzo's fun question. Now, I understand, Bruce. I understand that you're a non-drinker. Now, I won't judge you. I'm a non-drinker myself. I'm a non-drinker. I don't have a digestive system. That's my excuse. So, I would like to ask you, being that you are a non-drinker, how do you propose to support and to become involved with and contribute to Australia's venerable wine industry?
Well, probably because I'm currently living on the Mornington Peninsula, which is the Riviera of Melbourne, and a great wine area. So I've been very active in that space. Secondly, I have been known to draw people's attention to other kinds of premium beverages. There is a brewery named after my great-great-great-grandfather called Billson's Brewery, and they do wonderful gins. So I'm doing my bit, and when I used to be a minister, I'd always share a little bit of wine. In fact, Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, was in Australia, and I was hosting him at the Australian War Memorial, and we were reflecting and commemorating the enormous sacrifice our two nations had, and particularly around Bomber Squadron 360, where a lot of people didn't realise that Australian airmen were actually part of 360 Squadron, and there was an enormous loss of life. Anyway, part of that work in hosting him, we do a little bit of preparation, and the bodacious Mrs. Billson, my better half, had done a little bit of her own homework just to be a part of that hosting exercise. And as Tony left the War Memorial, Kate said to Tony Blair, Prime Minister, here's a gift for you. It's some fantastic Australian wine. He goes, Kate, how thoughtful. Why are you doing this? And she said, well, Prime Minister, I know you're very busy. It's actually your wedding anniversary today, and you're flying with Cherie to Perth from Canberra. Maybe it'll look like you gave some deep thought to that. Here's some great Australian wine. So I thought that was our bit. So I'm hoping that's helped propel Australian wines into the UK market.
Well, it certainly answers my question, and it proves once again that we all need a good smart woman in our lives.
Yeah, and I'm batting well above my average too, Bizzo. So often pointed out to me.
I'll leave other people to point such out to you. Me, I feel like I've been absolutely and unadulteratedly privileged to be able to chat with you today, Bruce. And I really do appreciate you taking time to come and spend a few minutes with me on Business Formula with Bizzo. That's me. So again,
thanks, Bizzo. So great to be with you in the Business Formula audience.
Oh, thanks again, Bruce. And look, before you go, one more thing. I'm going to put my sales hat on now. See, one of my roles here with BusyNet is to be the Top Gun salesman. And what I'd like to do, if you'd like it, is to organise for a regular chat with you once every now and then. We won't set a date right now, but I'd like to chat with you on a regular basis to find out what's happening in the world of small business, family enterprise, and what your office as the Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman is doing. How would you like to do that?
Look, that sounds like fun. I'll get my people to talk to your people, Busy, and we'll work out how to get busy on Bizzo's idea.
You're a champion, Bruce. Thank you again for talking to me, and I will make sure that Dimitri gets in touch with you.
Fantastic. Take care. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you very much, Bruce. Bye now.